everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're reading Goldie chapter 8 to 9. In one more video, hopefully, we'll be able to finish Goldie and move on to another book. Please put your ideas on my channel down in the comment section. I really want some feedback and some things that you guys think I need to improve on in my channel. Please put that down in the comment section. And let's read chapter 8. Chapter 8. Charles put his hand over his mouth and tried to stop laughing, but he couldn't. The look on the man's face, the look on Goldie's face, it was too much. Then he thought he saw the corners of his father's mouth twitching. Lizzie was obviously holding back a giggle, and even his mum seemed to have a tiny sparkle in her eyes. "Oh dear," said Mum, "I'm so sorry." "Puppies will be puppies," said Dad. He shook his head, laughing a little. "Well," the woman stood up. "Come on, Harold. We are going to look elsewhere for a dog we can live with. A dog with some manners." She walked past the bean, who was crawling on the floor near Goldie. The bean looked up at her and barked. The woman jumped and kept walking a little more quickly. Goldie watched as the two strangers walked out of the room. The piece of cloth dropped out of her mouth as she watched them go. Why were they going away? Then Charles sat down on the floor next to her and invited her into his lap, and she forgot all about the strangers. When they heard the front door close, the whole family burst out laughing. "A dog with some manners!" Dad gasped. "What would it say? 'Please pass dog food'? May I please go for a walk?" Lizzie added. "Thank you for the lovely bath," Charles shouted. "Maybe what they really need is a cat," suggested Mum. I laughed for a long time. Then Mum got serious. "Oh dear, what if we just drove away the perfect family for Goldie?" "Come on, Mum," said Lizzie. "They weren't the right people for Goldie. Can you imagine her cooped up in an RV?" "I guess not," Mum admitted, "but we really have to find this dog a home before she destroys our entire house." Charles gave Goldie a little squeeze and she let out a tiny sigh. He could hardly stand the idea of giving her up. But if we really couldn't keep her, she deserved the best home, with people who loved her just the way she was. "She's probably ready for a trip outside," Lizzie suggested. "Let's take her out back." Sammy must have been watching her from next door. He came right over. "So?" he asked. "Didn't those people want her?" Charles shook his head. "She didn't give them the best first impression," he said. He told Sammy what had happened. "Well, it doesn't matter," Sammy said, "because I've thought of a great home for Goldie." "What? Where?" Charles asked. Charles pointed to his house next door. "Right there," he said. "She could live with me and Rufus. Come on, it's perfect. She's just what Rufus needs. Didn't you see how happy he was playing with her?" Goldie living next door to Sammy. Charles wasn't sure how he felt about that. What if Goldie ended up liking Sammy better? "What, really?" Lizzie asked. "Your parents said it was okay?" She didn't seem so sure about the idea either. "Well, no," Sammy said. "Actually, I haven't asked them yet." He looked a little sheepish. "But they have to say yes." Charles thought some more. It was true that Goldie was good for Rufus, and if she lived next door, he could see her every day. Suddenly it seemed like a great idea. "If we can't keep Goldie, having her next door would be the next greatest thing," he said. Lizzie looked at him. "You know," he said, "you might be right." "He's definitely right," said Sammy. "All we have to do now is convince my parents." "We can do it," Charles said. "Goldie is the best puppy ever. How could they say no?" Sammy and Charles and Lizzie brought Goldie right over to meet Sammy's parents. Charles held her in his arms so she wouldn't get down and chase around with Rufus, breaking things and making a mess. Sammy's dad said that Goldie looked like a great pup, but we already had a dog, he added, "and I'm not sure I can go through this whole housebreaking thing again. Rufus took months to learn. What a disaster. It was too much work." Sammy's mother thought Goldie was very cute, but it's been hard on us watching Rufus get older. I don't think we want to start all over. "We don't really need another dog now." She smiled at Lizzie and Charles. "I'm sure you'll have no trouble finding a good home for her," she said. Charles knew she was right, but if he really had to give up Goldie, the best home would be one that was right next door to his own. "If only she was housebroken," Sammy said when they were back outside. "Maybe that would convince Dad." Sure, as long as she didn't decide to chew his favourite camera or something. Sammy's dad was a photographer and he had a lot of expensive equipment. They both sounded as if they had given up, but Charles wasn't ready to quit. He wanted Goldie to live next door. It's time for Operation Goldie. They might not need another dog, but we can make them want another dog. Goldie's so smart, she just has to learn a few things, and then Sammy's parents won't be able to resist her. That's true, Lizzie said. We can train her so they don't have to. I bet we can teach her always to go outside, Sammy said. She only makes mistakes once in a while. And puppies need to chew, Lizzie said. That's a fact. But we can make sure she has her own toys to chew on so she won't wreck people's things. Cozy in Charles's arms, Goldie looked happy from one face to another. Her people were excited. Something good was going to happen. She could hardly wait. Are you all ready for chapter 9? Make sure to put down in the comment section if you think Goldie will go home with Sammy. I hope Goldie finds the best home next door with Sammy. Let's see in chapter 9. Come, Goldie! Lizzie knelt down with her arms wide open. Goldie dashed across the yard so fast that she tumbled head over heels twice before she got to Lizzie. Oh, what a good girl, Lizzie said. Come, Goldie, called Charles from another corner of the yard, and Goldie took off at a gallop. Charles was proud of Goldie for learning so fast. Look at her go, Sammy said. He looked at the list in his hands. I think we can check off comes when called, he said. She sure knows how to do that. And sit, and even stay, added Lizzie. She's got those nailed. Charles kissed the top of Goldie's head as he cuddled the wriggling pup in his arms. Operation Goldie was a total success so far. Lizzie said they could only train Goldie for 10 minutes at a time because of her short attention span, but she had learnt so much in 1 week. She really was the smartest puppy ever. And Charles had been watching Sammy with Goldie. His friend was great with the puppy. Maybe the plan would really work and Sammy's parents would agree to keep her. Charles would get to play with her every day and watch her grow up. He could already see himself and Sammy throwing balls for Rufus and a grown-up Goldie, taking the dogs swimming at Loon Lake, showing them off at the library's annual pet show. And it's been... Sammy checked the sheet again. 3 whole days since she made a mistake in the house. 2 days, Lizzie reminded him. Remember that little incident in the entryway? That doesn't count, Charles said. She was trying to get outside. He knelt down to give Goldie a rub. Weren't you, girl? He asked. The chewing has got a lot better, too, Lizzie said. The only thing she's destroyed lately, and that was Ducky. And that was okay since he's a dog toy. She destroyed Ducky? Sammy asked. He looked upset. Well, no, not really destroyed. Let's just say he's a lot thinner than he used to be, and he probably won't be flying south for the winter. Sammy laughed. He reached down to pat Goldie. That's okay, Goldie. Rufus was tired of that old toy anyway. I think Goldie will be ready to show off your parents in a few days. Charles and Lizzie. Charles! Lizzie! Their mum was standing at the back door. Guess what? We just got another phone call. A family is interested in adopting Goldie. Charles, Lizzie and Sammy stared at one another. This was absolutely terrible news. No one else could adopt Goldie. Not now, not when they worked so hard with her. Come on in, I'll tell you all about it. Lizzie, Charles and Sammy all went inside. The news got worse and worse. According to Mum, this family sounded great. They weren't old people living in an RV. They had 3 kids and they lived in the country, where Goldie would have lots of room to roam. And they were coming right over to see Goldie. They would be there in half an hour. When Mum left the kitchen after telling their dad about the phone call, Lizzie and Charles and Sammy just sat there. They stared down at Goldie. I guess that's it, Sammy said sadly. We'll never see her again. I can't stand it, Lizzie said, getting down on the floor to cuddle with Goldie. Hold on, you guys, Charles said. We can't give up yet. What other choice do we have? Sammy asked. We show her off to your parents, now, Charles said. Sure, we wanted to train her for another few days, but she's nearly perfect. I bet they'll love her. Lizzie and Sammy and Charles looked at one another. Yes, it was time. Lizzie started getting all bossy and making plans. Okay, she said. Let me see that checklist. We need to figure out all the things we want to show off. First we'll have her sit. Then we'll show her how well she can stay. Goldie could tell something exciting was about to happen, but until she did, she decided she might as well have a drink. She was so thirsty. She wandered over to her bowl and drank some water. Then she waded into a water bowl a bit, because she liked how the cool water felt on her feet. This was fun. She had another drink. Then suddenly Charles came over and picked her up. "Ready to show off your stuff, Goldie?" he asked. "This is the big time. You have to do your very, very best." Goldie licked his face. Charles laughed and gave her a kiss on the nose. "Let's go, girl," he said. When they got down to Sammy's house, Sammy put Rufus in the downstairs den and shut the door. They agreed Goldie would be more impressive if she wasn't distracted. Then he called his parents into the living room. "I know you think a puppy is too much bother," he said, "but this one is different. She's perfectly trained. She won't be any trouble at all." "Sammy," his dad began. "Please, Dad," Sammy begged. "Can we just show you all the things that Goldie can do?" Sammy's mum and dad looked at each other. "Okay," said his dad, leaning back on the couch. "Let's see this perfect dog perform." Lizzie was first. "Here, Goldie," she called, and Goldie came trotting right over to her. "Goldie, sit," Lizzie said. Goldie sat. Sammy's mum clapped her hands. "Excellent!" she cheered. Next, Sammy called Goldie. When she came, he praised her. Then he said, "Goldie down." Goldie lay down, her eyes on Sammy's face. That made Charles feel a bit jealous, but he was also proud of Goldie. "Wow," said Sammy's dad, "that really is pretty good." Then Charles called Goldie. "Goldie, here," he said with a big smile. He had a good feeling about the way this was going. Goldie started to run over Charles, but on her way she stopped under a pretty rug under the piano, and she sniffed, she squatted, and she peed. Oh no! Maybe Sammy won't get to adopt her because Goldie was so naughty. Oh no! You'll find out in the next chapter whether that works out or whether that other family adopts her. We'll find out in the next chapter. Bye!